So I want to talk about types of reasoning capacity, or what I call brain levels. Brain levels. It's just I just think it's very, because when you say brain levels, it sounds very condescending to those who don't have brains. So or those that feel their level of brain is not so high, right? Um, so it becomes more insulting. But anyway, so what I see in the in my own framework of brain levels, you have brain level 0 to 1, and then to 2, and then to 3, and then to 4, and then to 5, right? Now 5 being, I think, the highest potentially, yeah. Brain 0, well, then you don't have a brain, because 0, you don't have a brain. But that's also debatable. uh, I guess most people are at brain level between 0 and 1, yes. Um, and if you look at it dimensionally, when you have, I talked about that in my previous video about consciousness interacting with one another, and now we can apply it to the brain levels. Now let's say when you are a level 1 brain, you can clearly reason in terms of cause and effect. Like, you can clearly reason, I did this, then this happened. But it is still, let's say, you can still think, okay, this thing happened, I did this, so this thing happened. But it might not be accurate, because your vantage point is linear, right? One dimension, brain level 1. So you can only look at an event, at yourself, linearly or backwards, you know. Let's say someone else tells you something, oh, you are like this. You might believe it, yeah? You might say, oh, okay. You might still be able to, at brain level 1, you can still look at yourself. Yes, I see this. Let's say someone says, I think you are a narcissist, yes? And that person might give a certain explanation why you might be a narcissist. And you might say, yes, these actions I have done, therefore I'm a narcissist. So at that point, you might say, I believe him, I'm a narcissist, yes? Of course, perhaps in the future, someone might say, oh, I don't think you're a narcissist. And then you think, I'm not a narcissist. So you have this conflict between two opinions of two different peoples about you, right? And you get this cognitive dissonance, and this might create problems for a brain level 1. And brain level 1 might still be actually decent in a human society perspective, as most people cannot even introspect or even willing to. So they are even below level 1. They may be level 0.5. So the majority of cognitive capability, let's say brain level, in this world is below 1. Yes. If you're a proper 1, it's decent, yes. People can work with you. You can actually not, you might not get stuck, but how you perceive yourself, how you perceive others it's linear, right? Like, it's like a single directional projection, or receiving, sending, receiving kind of thing, right? So let's say we move more to brain level 2, where you have the planar dimension, right? So you have already more cognitive flexibility. So let's say someone says, okay, you're a narcissist, but you remember different, or even if no one ever told you that you are a narcissist, you are able to reason, let's say, from a vantage point that's behind the person that tells you that, right? So if the person telling you you are a narcissist, and you might not be affected because you got all the potentialities of opinions around the person that gives you the opinion. Not necessarily vertically, but let's say on the same cognitive level on which that person is playing, right? So you can come with, when that person say, you can come up with unlimited number of reasons why you might not be or why you might be, yes. But it's like you will not be so much affected by that, yes? Because you can reason it out, you can hold multiple, you're able to hold opposing views because of this non-linearity, right? So that gives you already, brain level 2 allows you to have, let's say, empathy, because it's like you can go behind the other person. So you'll have the vantage point. You can have the vantage point of not being a victim because you can move around it, right? You can dimensionally move around a potential person that either praises you or either attacks you or whatever, or loves you or hates you or whatever. So you can see things from another perspective. Of course, you can always, you have to understand, dimensionally speaking, the first dimension also exists in the second, right? All the potentialities of first dimensional reasoning exist on the second, but not vice versa. And this makes geometrically perfectly sense because there are an infinite amount of lines on the plane and an infinite amount of points on the plane, right? So then we go to the third dimension, brain 3.0. Now this allows for true empathy because not just you are able to perceive the different opinions or the different vantage points from just a planar perspective, but from a top down, below down, so you can look at the situation as a lesser being, as a higher being in consciousness. So this allows you to have that kind of empathic ability to see not only on the level of the other person or your own level, but you can move in levels of consciousness and reasoning that on the planar dimensionality of reasoning you cannot, right? So you're also able to make connections and see connections between circumstances, people, events, knowledge, that a level 2 brain just is not able to dimensionally do. Now, when we go to the fourth dimensional brain, as in the video described, the self-folding comes into play. So then you are able to make connections which are seemingly unrelated to one another. You're able to see the relationship between how a cup is positioned on your desk to a childhood trauma, or you're able to see relational things which for a brain 3.0 or below would never really come to the surface of their consciousness. You're able to see connections between your life, movie scripts that has been written out before your time and space, events, even language itself starts folding into itself. You start seeing connections in language. You're able to rearrange the letters of a word to have a different meaning, completely applying to a specific circumstance in your life. Life itself can become self-folding. This is a very high cognitive level. It's kind of like the Lucy type of thing. It's like when she's in the movie Lucy, when she got that, let's say she was at level 20%, and she started thinking like that, creating connections, thinking in a certain way. So level 4, of course, it's quite rare, because it's you can say it borders the supernatural. It kind of is in some ways, because you are able to tie things together which seemingly aren't, you might not be able to tie, but in a hyperfluid, hyperconnected quantum level, it starts to make sense. And I guess if there's a lot you can say about level 4 type of brain. You can develop it. It just, to go higher in cognitive capacity, you have to collapse oppositions and dualities within oneself, in one's own belief system, because any type of maintained opposition that will not allow you to develop further, because any opposition creates distance between 2 points. And obviously, in order to collapse the space between 2 points, and for cognitive capacity to become self-folding, you have to collapse the oppositions. You have to go past duality itself, whether it is religious, whether it's ideology, any kind of belief system, right? And that's, of course, you can reason it's quite difficult for people, because they're holding on to certain belief systems. It's not necessarily about moods or kind of emotions per se, because emotions are quite fluid, right? You can feel sad, you can feel happy. It's not a belief system, because give someone a candy or a pie or a hug and the feelings change, right? So feelings are kind of a higher dimensional system itself, because it's super fluid. Emotions are super fluid. So actually they are of a higher order than belief systems, surprisingly. Belief systems are actually very low on the dimensional stack. Ironically, even the belief system of liberation itself is quite low. You see, or high, because the oppositions collapse onto itself. This is for another video, but I think you get the idea of the stacking of the cognitive levels. Of course, when you have the cognitive level 5, then you have the causalities itself that fold into each other. The folding itself fold into each other. Existence, reality fold into each other, or even realities outside the reality fold into each other. It becomes super strange, you can say. Then we're talking about hyper reality levels, right? So this is what I came up with as brain levels or cognitive levels. This is kind of my own framework I've been developing. Is it right? Is it wrong? I don't know. You can decide for yourself what you feel can apply to yourself. So that was this. This is what this video was about. If you like to comment on that, if you feel something's missing, or I'm just like wrong on some levels. Now, mind you, this is not necessarily about emotions. This is like reasoning, cognitive brain reasoning, right? Of course, emotions can be applied to thinking, but like I said, emotions are kind of hyper fluid in some sense, because it's not a belief system often. Of course, emotions can be generated by belief systems, of course, but I would consider emotions a higher order of power or influence, of course. And love is even higher than that, yes. It's all about love. Everybody wants it.